Hello and welcome to Warp Factor Unknown, the podcast where we delve into the world of Star Trek for an unpredictable rewatch and discussion. I'm your host Dan, and joining me today is Tom, who really needs to stop mounting chairs like that. It's going to become a HR issue.
Good day, everyone. I cannot stop.
And we are also joined by our other co-host, Madeline, who is just finishing off a bowl of Troy's famous chocolate sundaes.
Enjoying all those calories, thank you.
Great to have you both here today. Today, we are talking about a Star Trek Enterprise episode, Judgement, and that is from Season 2, Episode 19. Yes, okay, fantastic. So, before we hop into our discussion proper, I am going to pass you over to Tom to give us a recap of Judgement.
In this episode, Captain Archer is put on trial by the Klingon High Council for conspiring against the Klingon Empire. He is accused of aiding rebels who are running from the Klingons. Archer's advocate, Kolos, a seasoned lawyer disillusioned with the militaristic direction of Klingon society, argues his case against the aggressive prosecutor Orak. Kolos later expresses regret at the Empire's loss of its traditional values. During the trial, flashbacks reveal how Archer defended a group of colonists attacked by the Klingons, offering them humanitarian aid despite warnings. Kolos highlights Archer's honourable actions, but the tribunal is biased, valuing aggression over fairness. Despite Kolos's efforts, Archer is found guilty and sentenced to a lifetime of hard labour in the dilithium mines of Rurapenthe. Archer's crew devises a plan to free Archer. He escapes with the help of a bribe to one of the Klingon guards. The episode ends with Archer reflecting on Klingon culture and Kolos's honourable stance, despite the oppressive system.
Fantastic. Excellent, as always. Yeah, so, what did you guys, just a quick first impressions, what do you guys think?
I loved it.
I loved it too. I always like a good courtroom-based episode.
Yes.
And
me too.
Yes, give us some Law and Order.
Yeah, it brought back memories of Measure of a Man from TNG. The sort of courtroom, obviously without the Klingons, but that sort of high-tension courtroom drama. I love it.
Yeah. Star Trek loves a good courtroom episode, and yeah, this is a really good one. I don't remember it, but yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
As always, I feel like every episode, I got a bunch of notes, but I got a few like sort of notes on like the look of the episode. First of all, the gavel prop, the big hand, and the ball, it like sparks.
Sparks. I know.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Love that. That's so Klingon.
Yeah.
I love it. And I also really liked, there was a couple, not many, it was a couple of like wide shots, like external shots of Kronos, like the court area. And it was like a CG, it wasn't a matte painting, I don't think, so like a CG landscape with some buildings. It looked really cool.
Yeah.
There's some little people walking around. I liked it, really good. But the best thing to note is the advocate. Do you guys know who he is?
No.
Yes. Literally
Hang on,
my
take it
favourite
away.
Klingon ever.
Who?
Martok from DS9.
Martok?
Yeah, like my favourite Klingon character.
Wow, I need to rewatch DS9.
Oh, the voice.
Yeah.
The voice. You'll pick it up instantly.
Yeah, he's played by J.G. Hertzler, and yeah, he just kills that Klingon persona. And yeah, when he first came on, I was like, fucking J.G., here we go. Love it.
It's gonna be a good episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. So I really like that we had, basically Martok playing Kolos. It's almost basically kind of the same character, really, but just different.
A bit calmer.
A bit calmer.
A little bit less,
Yeah,
less quick to anger. Perhaps.
yeah, he's a bit older.
And certainly
Yeah.
less drinking.
Yes, there was only one bit of drinking in this scene. Actually, I'm going to skip to that right now. So that's right at the end of the episode. But there's a bit in like later on where like Kolos and Archer are like almost drowning their sorrows a little bit in a little hip flask of blood wine. I think Oscar should have not been able to take that blood wine and just gone, oh, that's he just couldn't.
Yeah.
If he goes back for another swig, kind of like a man's man kind of thing. I didn't like it. I thought it's a bit cheesy.
He said, "Where's it from?"
Better.
And there was no answer given. It could be like,
what animals
blood
blood
of my
from,
enemies, or something like that.
I mean, we should
Yeah,
have
it was
expected
Targs.
this. He refused to eat the meat of a the Targ, so he obviously doesn't have a strong stomach. At least he wasn't served gah.
Exactly.
The worst food.
It was kind of, it looked kind of appetizing, for a Klingon prison.
I can guarantee any other, and I'm sorry, I don't want to bring this in so early about comparisons to other captains, but any other Starfleet captain would have bloody ate that.
Yeah.
Either out of, just suck it up and just eat it, respect, part of, exactly.
Like Flock says, you got to keep your strength up, and he's right. Don't know how long you're going to be there. You need to eat.
Yeah. I wonder what Picard would have done. He would have been like...
He would have eaten it. He definitely would have eaten it.
For diplomatic reasons. And then he'd be like, lovely. Exactly. And then go into his room and just hurl.
Yeah, I feel like
for sure
Sisko would have eaten it while making really intense eye contact with the guard.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I can imagine the juice running down his chin and stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay. I really liked in the episode when we did the two flashbacks from the two different perspectives.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I really, as a good way of telling the story. People's memories are biased in how they remember things, and even Archer's version, which we assume is the true and correct version, will have errors and inaccuracies. So I like that. I really like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Recollections can't be relied upon, especially in the courtroom. Witness statements are some of the most weak evidence that's usually presented.
Which is why, in some ways, as much as I love this episode and I love a good courtroom drama, it was actually a really stupid trial because all it needed was one sensor log from one of the ships. Either will do, and it will just prove one way or another what happened.
True.
Yeah, I have actually some thoughts because I love
please
anything. You meet me. I love law, so as soon as I'm presented with some sort of judicial system of the Klingons, I start paying attention. So I actually really enjoyed the first courtroom drama bit that we got, where Archer's really furious because he's not able to speak up. They hear from the previous Captain Duras about his recollections of what happened. The advocate, Kolos, in a way, seemingly going against his client, Archer, and it's all very emotional, and all the Klingons in the stalls are getting really angry. I actually really liked this because I thought we were getting introduced to a different type of tribunal, a non-Earth based courtroom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, do they not rely on evidence like we do? Is it more of, I don't know, lawyers' play of words and how charismatic you are? Or I was hoping a bit more depth to the Klingon culture, are they trying to trick each other up and out honoring each other? Or is he going to shame Duras instead of saying, Archer should be executed because of this? Should he be like, no, actually, you acted without honor and you should be the one that's executed? I don't know. I was really hoping for a non-Earth based Law and Order episode sort of thing.
Completely agree. I didn't quite go as far as deeper than that, but I pulled out that I liked that this court had it still had those Earth-based court sort of stuff, but it was very theatric in how they dealt with it. And you're right, it'd been really cool if they had just made it look more like a theatre and a show as opposed to a trial. And they could have done a thing where Archer tries to present some facts and figures and here's my sense logs, and they all just laugh him down and we don't do facts here. That's not how this works.
Yeah,
that'd have been great.
You're right,
that'd have been
and
awesome.
Theatrics is a good word because so much of Klingon culture is what we would say as theatrics.
It's all boasting.
It's all boasting. So imagine if you could get out of a murder charge because you were so compelling and you were able to rear up the crowd and convince the magistrate. I don't know. Essentially that's what I thought was going to happen. But then when we get to the main courtroom bit, that kind of fell away because then that did turn into, normal courtroom drama with normal lawyer stuff. So I was kind of hoping for more, but it ended up being same old stuff.
Yeah.
Now you say that, I'm like, actually, that'd have been way better. That'd have been so much better.
I don't know how they were going to do it, but,
Yeah, I'm sure they're professional writers. Of course they could do it.
Mm.
I do like when that first Captain Duros is being questioned, that the prosecutor just keeps niggling at him. Oh, I'm sorry, you were a captain. Oh, I'm sorry, and really just putting him down.
Wait, the advocate or the prosecutor?
The prosecutor, he wasn't really on his side.
No.
He's like, this guy is dishonorable. He lost.
Yeah.
He's lost his command. So I really liked that he keeps calling out that little captain. That he basically sucks.
Yeah.
But also, this whole kind of it's a bit of a weird concept for a trial, because Klingons like battle. The Klingons went into battle. They lost.
Archer won.
And now they're really salty about it.
Yeah, that didn't make sense
I'm
to
sorry.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it truly is how Duras remembered, quotation marks, and that Archer did initiate the battle, but in a dishonorable way. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't about who won or who lost the space battle. It was about Archer ignoring and disobeying Klingon High Command's orders to let the ship collect the rebels, quotation mark rebels.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It is interesting, and because some of the points that were being raised in this court, you're like, actually no, I think the Klingons probably would just raise a fleet and go attack Earth. I think they would. That's just, I don't know, because at this point in Star Trek's history, the Klingons and Earth don't really have much of a relationship. So it wouldn't be too much out of left field for the Klingons to sort of just launch an armada over this fairly minor incident.
I'm just reading some quotes from this episode, actually, on Memory Alpha. And I like this one quote where Archer says, "I hope they're not the jury." And Kurlos says, "There is no jury." So I quite like the fact that in a Klingon court system, it basically is the judgment of the judge, of the magistrate only.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just,
Yeah, which again, if it was more as Madeline described it earlier about being more theatrics and what have you, then a jury would make more sense to try and win them over.
Have you seen that film called 12 Angry Men?
No.
It's a black and white film from the 19, I'm going to say 60s, maybe 50s, but I think it's 60s. And it's where 11 of the people are certain that this guy that's brought in to be judged is guilty, and one is not. And the one, throughout the course of the film, manages to convince the other 11 to basically give this guy a fair trial. It needs to be unanimous. So I'd recommend that to anyone. Okay. But I'd also would have liked something like that in this episode, where maybe there's one Klingon sort of trying to... Well, I guess Kolos is that Klingon, but trying to persuade others. Anyway, just a little tangent.
No, I do love a good courtroom, even not in Star Trek, just in general, that kind of stuff. A good court-martial thing and military sort of thing. It's really fun. Have either of you guys ever done any jury service? Is that a thing you guys have done?
No, never had the letter.
No, I haven't. I would love to.
I would.
I
keep waiting to be.
You don't get to volunteer; you just get asked to do it.
So I love drama anyway. So,
I think it's actually a bit suspicious if you try and volunteer.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
I have one really big meaty topic I have for us today. Well, I pulled out.
Present your meat.
I will present your meat, my targ meat. Okay, so the episode's good. I really like the episode, and even despite what I'm about to say, this doesn't tarnish my view of the episode. But I do have issue with it. So, in other Star Trek, particularly DS9, we often hear about the Klingon Empire and how it's lost its way and it was better before in the glory days. And we hear we meet some older Klingons that Jadzia Dax knows. And when they were younger, they were saying, that the Empire was better and all the rest of it. There's more corruption and politics nowadays. And there's a few hundred years between DS9 and Enterprise. Enterprise obviously set before. So the Empire we're seeing now in this in Enterprise should be the glory days, surely. So the whole scene where the advocate Kolos is sort of moaning to Archer that the courts were fairer in the back in my day, and now everyone just wants to be warriors and all the rest of it, and it kind of like they were presenting the Klingon Empire the same way they were in DS9, but they shouldn't, because this empire should be almost at the height of its power in its glory days, I guess, unless it's just every old Klingon is just #boomer and just hates every younger generation, which is
it might
also
be
quite likely.
That ever-moving goalpost of what actually were the glory days.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is, I think, a lens turned back on us, I suppose. Because if we were watching this in the 2000s, what would humanity's glory days be? Versus we're rewatching it now. What do we think the glory days are? It's going to be different from what my parents think and my grandparents. So that's what I'm thinking. It's always that moving goalpost. Because if you weren't alive during the glory days, or you were a child or something, how do you know it was glorious?
Yeah, that's just what people said it was. Yeah, and all you've got is your own experiences.
But I do like the specific examples that he gave, which was there used to be a larger skew of non-soldier citizens. So he mentioned I think his father was a teacher and his mother was in biology. So that implies that even as a child, he felt things were better. And then he went on to say that now every young kid just wants to be a soldier. So obviously there's something brewing in his lifetime that is making the Klingons a little bit more war skewed.
Yeah, kind of like a nationalist movement.
Yeah, but I don't know enough about the lore during that time, to be honest. I'm going to put my hand up and say I'm not sure.
I don't think I do. But there was another episode where Phlox gets captured, and it has to do like some science experimenty stuff. And he's working with a scientist, I assume a biologist. And they have a very similar conversation where Klingon basically laughs at Phlox and goes, "What, you thought we were all warriors?" He's like, I do like Enterprise does it a couple of times. It does show more to the Klingons than just soldiers, which is nice.
Yeah, and sadly I feel, can you remind me how in the future Discovery is season 1 to Enterprise?
I don't know. I know it's set like a few years before Kirk in the Enterprise. So
I think it was mentioned
100 years, 150 maybe.
I think it was mentioned that it was possible that T'Pol could have been alive. But I'm
so
thinking,
it's not like it's fairly close.
So when we're introduced to the Klingons, look, love them or hate them, the Klingons in Discovery, they are basically exactly as Colas is describing. We don't get exposed to any Klingons that are, I'm going to say, not absolutely batshit crazy. I don't think. Oh no. Wait. We have those cool monks.
Oh yeah,
in season 2.
Well, that's it. Klingons either love being warriors.
Okay,
or
so
monks.
That's an exception. But I feel like Discovery, it was very we see them at maybe their most.
It was almost like they reverted to Klingons a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't like that. Anyway, we're not discussing that.
But the Klingons in Discovery do have 2 penises.
That's fine, but
Really?
their face makeup, I cannot stand their face makeup.
Yeah.
So how do we know they have 2 penises?
So there's a shot. It's in like in the background of an episode. I don't know where it is. There's like a screen grab somewhere, and it's showing a Klingon having a pee up a wall. And there are 2 very distinct streams.
Oh, like the Skeksis from Dark Crystal.
Yeah. But also in other episodes of Star Trek, they mention how Klingons have like backups of like organs and stuff, and they have like all this other stuff. So it's kind of like the 2 together implies they have
a backup penis,
a double ding dong.
Yeah, wow. The more you know.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, the more you know. It's really important to the Star Trek lore.
So in that scene that we were talking about, where they were sharing a flask of blood wine, and Colas is reflecting on his career as an advocate, and also Klingon society, and how he feels that the tribunal has just become a show court, basically. And no matter how good he was those years ago, he eventually realized that he had to kind of just go with it, and he wasn't going to be able. What am I trying to say? He had to just go with the tribunal in their decisions, or else he wouldn't really have a job, which is kind of sad. And Archer pipes up, and he's like, I get where you're coming from. I can see that you're really sad about the current state of Klingon society, but Earth, we've had 3 world wars, famine, division, all that kind of stuff, but we were able to really move past it. And like Kolos is like, oh, like how did you move past it? And then Archer's like, some individuals realized that they could make a difference. It's like, okay, so no specifics then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it implies that the majority of society, were like totally lost, but it's a few good men.
It's a few good men,
a few saviors. Yeah.
And I just found it really frustrating because it would have been really nice to get some, the Third World War is talked about, and the eugenics war as well is talked about a lot, but it would be really nice to get Archer's perspective as someone who's basically the earliest captain that we have. So I'm not saying recent history, but slightly more recent history. It'd be nice to get his take on why World War III was able to finally end and society rebuild itself.
Yeah.
They could have done that classic, like, I think it's like sci-fi thing or Star Trek or just TV thing where they say, like, 3 names. 2 of them you'll know, and 1 of them's, like, made up, like in the future. So, like, say a name from an influential person in the 20th century, then maybe say, like, Cochrane for the warp drive, and then somebody else we won't have heard of because it's some, you know what I mean? So, like,
so lens a
you say, like, 2 names and then 1. So, yeah.
I know, but they can't.
You could have done that.
They can't do that anymore because remember, I keep bringing up Discovery, and I don't want to be controversial in this podcast. Like whoever you like, blah blah blah, but remember when Lorca is talking about some of the greatest minds,
I do,
and he name drops Elon Musk,
yes.
who and again I don't want to be controversial, but he is divisive, and so that for many people that has soured.
Yes.
However, Lorca was from the Mirror Universe.
Yes. So do you think he just did a quick Google?
Elon Musk.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, you're so
his
clever.
Musk is different. So like people like
you're
the Star
so
Trek
clever.
community has retconned it to be like it's not our Musk, and even if it is our Musk, it's in another universe.
It's Mirror Musk,
evil universe. So it's fine.
Mirror
Musk. So it's fine.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love Star Trek.
So it's okay. We dodged that bullet as a community.
Okay, maybe it hasn't aged so badly. Excellent.
Yeah, I think that did take a bit. I think that did take like some fans to like wrangle their head around that one a little bit.
No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, as you're right, Musk is a divisive character. We won't go there today. Another day.
Tom, I feel like I've chatted a lot. Do you have any points did you take notes this time?
Well, actually,
or do you only take notes with bad episodes?
No, I had so many notes of the last one, but most of them were about that really annoying guy in the episode. Whereas this one, I was watching it thinking, I love this episode. So I was just enthralled from start to finish, really. No, I just... notes, just relying on my fantastic memory. So I've actually forgot a lot of the episode. But it's
all immediately.
But would watch again.
Yeah.
5 stars.
The prison. They get sent to Rutapente.
Yeah.
Now, and Kolos says that the prison has a life expectancy of 6 to 12 months. It's a mine. They mine dilithium. And having a prison like that, we assume there are other prisons also like that within the Empire that have very harsh conditions. People die a lot. Would that not just encourage the judicial system to find more people guilty and send them to prison? Question.
I suppose
potentially. So. Or my take on it and again, it might be incorrect, of course, but this mine looked very like low output. This looked very
Yeah.
low budget. I don't think the Klingon Empire can run on the amount of dilithium that was coming out of that mine. There was like 2 wheelbarrows. Is this not just a mining camp for the sake of putting prisoners somewhere for hard labor? I don't know, it's just a thought.
It looked quite comfortable for a place where there's a 6 to 12 month lifespan, because I thought, quite cozy.
I was just doing some very frantic memory alphaing, and I was like, I'm sure we've seen Rura Penthe before, and we have. It's also in Star Trek Undiscovered Country, so the 6th film. Yeah, 6th film. So it may look bigger, or we get more information about it there. But I haven't seen that film in such a long time.
Okay, so if that's a dilithium-heavy planet, I mean, I'm sure there's some industrial-sized mines that run with machinery that can actually deliver the output needed for the fleet. This one looked tiny.
It did, yes.
And if they're not taking care of their prisoners, if people are dying within 6 months to a year, and they don't seem to care that much, it feels like it's just like a shitty prison.
It doesn't seem a very honourable thing to do for the Klingons, I'll be honest. They go on about honour all the time, but then like just treating their prisoners with such disrespect.
Yeah.
Because we would also assume that they would also put prisoners of war in this kind of mine. You'd assume.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
their version, like their honour rules, their like code of conduct, so to speak, does kind of change throughout the series. You'll have some episodes where they might treat an outsider, so Starfleet or whatever, better than they would treat their own. And then the opposite. Sometimes you'll see episodes where they wouldn't dream of inflicting XYZ on a Klingon, but they're happy to do it to their enemy.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that stands. And I think it's whether they view as a warrior or not. So I felt that they viewed Archer, even though Archer didn't commit, like he didn't like shoot anyone or like punch anyone.
No.
I think they very much were trying him as a warrior. So maybe this punishment was where the warriors/soldiers go, and maybe the teachers and biologists that commit a crime go somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just a quote, actually, which I really liked. And this is probably showing how early on humanity just does not know very much about the Klingons and their strategy, or the way that they advocate for themselves. The way that Archer advocates for himself is actually sometimes detrimental. And the quote that I really liked is Archer saying to the prosecutor, "We had no intention of firing first." And the prosecutor just laughs and says, "Oh, such a noble human." And I just love that. I think if this had been a later series, like they wouldn't have approached it like that, because they know that Klingons fire first all the time.
Yeah.
Klingons admire people that fire first, or at least, respect them a little bit. So it's just funny that I like that Archer, not at this stage, knows how to finagle the Klingon.
That would have been good if it had gone down that more theatric route of like that being quite early in the court setting, and then by the end of it, Archer's changed his tack and how he approaches his evidence.
Yeah.
And what he's saying, he's learned over the episode how to deal with this Klingon court system. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I do have another nerdy thing to say, and you can cut all this out. It's only because I love a good courtroom. Towards the end of the episode, after Archer and Kolis are both sent to the penal colony, T'Pol is having a meeting with the rest of the crew, and their first instinct is that they really want to rescue him straight away, and she has to kind of calm them all down, saying that's not really going to work. We need to maybe work out a slightly different way of getting him back, if you know what I mean. I think maybe Reed brings it up, like, well, what about Klingon Command? Like the government, basically. And T'Pol goes, look, they're lobbying, but, she implies that it's not going to be successful. And in my mind, and this is probably so nerdy, but in my mind, that shows to me that Klingons also have a separation of government and its judicial system, like we have in Australia and you guys have in the UK.
Yeah.
And I presume America as well. I just find that really interesting. The government can, suggest, lobby, try and convince, but ultimately the courts make their own lawful decisions. And
Yes,
that's that. I was like, ooh, how interesting. And no one else found that interesting apart from me.
No, I was nodding along with what you were saying, yes. No.
No, I love that. That's such a great observation. I want to do a comparison to I'm gonna say it's because I'm gonna release them first, I think. During some bonus episodes I did with Jacob, which most likely should have definitely gone out before this episode releases. We have watched an episode of TNG. Do you remember the episode Conspiracy from season 1? Well, remember that there was worms in people taking over?
Is that the guy that explodes at the end?
Yes,
Yeah.
that exactly.
What a ripper.
But there was basically a throwaway line in the episode which made mention to a mining company.
Yeah.
It was on this planet here, this mining planet. It was mined by the whatever mining company it was.
Minecorp.
And I went down a bit. I was like, Jacob, does that mean that there are companies in the Federation? And I was like, it makes sense that not everything is just state owned, but also it feels kind of weird to me that there are private companies in the Federation. Yeah. And I was like, it's like with yours, man. Just a throwaway line, but it makes you think how these societies actually work.
That's the thing, because we always hear, we're a society that does not run on money. And it's like, but you still have goods and services. And okay, so I also assumed that there were no corporations. And I'm just talking Earth-based. I don't think we can make assumptions for colonies. So I'm just sticking to Earth. But I assumed, so there's no corporations. But there are certainly small businesses and maybe medium businesses. Cisco's dad's, Creole amazing restaurant food, or Picard's vineyard. Yeah. I mean, does he get paid for his wine? And he has staff members. So how big can a business grow before it's a corporation, and therefore does not exist on Earth?
And everyone would be doing it voluntarily, I guess, because there's no money to be paid. So
I can get Picard's vineyard, it's
paid in wine.
Beautiful. So... okay. Yeah, you could be paid with wine. Really beautiful lodgings. It felt like it was sunshine every day. You get to hang out with Picard. Sure, no brainer. That beautiful restaurant, Cisco's dad's restaurant. Maybe you get free food every night.
That's true.
Look, and it's in a happening part of town. Sure. But what if, I don't know, who does, if you don't get money, why would you choose to work in potentially a low-skilled job? Anyway, I thought it was
I mean, we assume robots, but they can't do everything.
No. Yeah, I don't know. But corporation, interesting. And how much influence does that corporation have?
The one thing that I also noticed, because they visited this mining planet, and on this mining planet it used to have been run by a mining company, which they're now left. There was lots of junk and stuff just laid about, and I was like, well, if these are a company in the Federation, then they're not following a whole laundry list of rules
and regulations.
Yeah, regulations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh well.
It's really I don't know.
Yeah.
The utopian society of Star Trek cannot work, but we like to think it does.
Yeah, and we seek out those tiny little nuggets to kind of describe more of that world to us, because I mean, I think we could all agree we would really like to live in a utopia, kind of post-scarcity civilization, but we don't actually know what that looks like. And certainly we don't know
No.
how to get there. But if only
I mean-
a few good citizens realized that they could
Yeah.
make a change.
I mean, unfortunately, like if we were to sort of, I would say if we were to like look at society, like Western society, sort of now, that kind of society where we all can, not work and have robots and AI do all our job. Yeah, that's not how that works. We're just going to be poor because there's not. Yeah, I can't see like universal basic income or anything like that really actually happening in any sort of meaningful way. I think it would just be. I just think that sort of wealth gap will just get bigger and bigger. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Straight a bit too far into the real world politics. There.
Yeah.
Welcome to Star Trek.
Well,
Worth
Star Trek
considering.
is always a mirror back at us.
Yeah, totally. Okay, let's. I'm gonna take us a little bit lighter. I've only got a couple of little notes now. Only one actually. It's a lighter one. I really like it in the prison in the end when Archer intervenes with Kolos when he's getting beat up by the guard, and Kolos calls all humans stupid.
Yeah,
That was really funny. It's really cute.
Yeah.
It was nice.
And it was
I have a note about that.
a chuckle from
Okay.
Archer about it.
Yeah.
A
Go on,
note,
Tom.
Tom.
So the guard, yeah, well, a mental note that I've just remembered. That guard that gets hit by Kolos. Is it Kolos or does Archer hit him? Anyway, nothing then happens. So I would expected like other guards to rush in, or there to be a backup guard or something like that. But it's like the guard gets pummeled, and then no
I
repercussions.
know. He just walks away.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
maybe bribed. Maybe the bribe had already arrived. The bribe had already
maybe.
arrived. That
Like
kind of
he didn't get
thing.
the memo, and all the other guards got like the bribe, and he hadn't.
Archie did get pain stick, so I guess he was like, "Oh, that'll do. He can't be up." Maybe he actually got a bit more hurt than he thought he did. He's actually got quite like a bruised rib, maybe got winded or something.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
maybe.
it's more fair.
He's like skulked away.
Anyway, I really hope
Anyway,
Kolos survives.
Yeah, me
Yes.
too. I was curious. I was gonna go on Memory Alpha and see if he actually. I haven't done it, but I was gonna see if he comes back in Enterprise in like season 3, season 4, like that 1 year later. That'd be really cool to bring that character back. I don't know if they do that.
revisit the planet and just see a gravestone, Kolos.
Yeah, like a frozen skeleton. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, I think that would be to make it slightly morbid. I think that'd be quite a cool little shout out to Kolos.
I don't.
He turned out to be my favourite character, actually, in Enterprise so far, because he turned, didn't he, from someone that was, I don't know, just going along with the system to. A bit
Yeah,
more
he
of
was
a
bored. As well.
rebel.
There's nothing I can see about episode reappearances, but in the novels, I believe.
Oh, the novels. Okay, I'll accept that. He survives his prison time. Okie dokie. Let's do some reviews, then we'll do some episode selecting, then we'll do some goodbying. Tom, take us away. What do you think? Give us your review and then an IMDb.
I was enraptured with this episode. I just found it really, really just watchable. Sometimes, I mean, with the last episode, which I watched twice, I kept getting distracted by the things. I thought this episode just is not gelling with my vibe. But this one gelled in a maximum way. I just really liked it. I thought Kolos was a fantastic character. I loved the Klingon sort of courtroom and the system and the sparky ball. It all sort of melded together well into a cohesive, excellent episode for me.
And an IMDb?
IMDb, I'm going to give it an 8. A solid 8.
A solid 8. Excellent. Mads, do you want to go now?
Yeah, I think it was an absolutely excellent episode, and it's one that I would happily rewatch. The performances were really great. I actually liked that this was a Archer-centric episode. I thought he did really well, which is great. And of course, Kolos/Martok was just a great surprise. As soon as he's opened his mouth and spoke, I squealed. Yeah, excellent episode, and I would probably rate it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, a 9. Very
Yeah.
good, very good. Yeah, I'm going to echo what you guys said. Loved it. It was really good. I love a courtroom bit of media. I love courtroom stuff in Star Trek, and I think, yeah, as you said, Maz, all the acting and performances were really good, and I think this episode was served better by not really having a B plot. We saw a little bit of the other crew, but basically nothing. It was just Archer, and I think the episode was so much better because of that.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I do think that sometimes, sorry to interrupt, when they have really, really good guest stars, I think they must make a decision. You know what? We don't need a B plot.
Yeah, definitely. I am gonna give it. I'm gonna go like an 8.8, just a touch off that 9. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what it actually got. Okay, Star Trek Enterprise Judgment gets a 7.6.
Huh. That's very good for IMDb though.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but I think it should have got a bit more closer to just to be 8. I think just a touch more. Anyway, that's very good. Sorry. Well, just on IMDb, the IMDb photo for J.G. Hertzler, Kolos, it's just him in like a straw hat, sunglasses, and this massive cigar. It's really good. Yeah. Okay. We need to do another episode. Mads, you won't be here for this episode because you've had your allotted 2 as our third co-host. I'm not sure who's going to be the next co-host. We haven't decided that yet or asked anyone. But it'll be somebody. It'll either be Emma, Jacob, or Sasant. We shall see. Watch this space. But we're going to need an episode. Tom, over to you to select us an episode.
Okay. Right, so I'm going to enable my random.
So I need you to take out Enterprise and put back in Voyager.
Yes.
That's a good point. I shall read some rules over here. We will watch 2-parters. We won't watch whole story arcs. If we get the same episode, we'll flip a coin, go up or down. The previous show selected we can't watch, so we can't watch another Enterprise next. And we can't have the same show twice per season of Warp Factor Unknown. Every show gets two chances, as it were.
Okay, here we go. So between 1 and 12, my random number generator has chosen a 2.
Oh, 2. Excellent.
And a 2 is DS9.
DS9. Excellent.
Annoying.
Oh, no.
I'll watch it in my own
third.
time. No, I'll watch it in my own time. Unless it's Alan Marine.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh, that one, yeah.
I want a later season, like season 5, 6, 7.
So between 1 to 7, I have thus chosen a 4.
A 4, nice.
So sort of in the middle there.
Yeah. I think the Dominion's war is just starting to hot up, I think.
But I like that. I really like the build up.
Yeah.
Will they, won't they?
Correct, which I normally am. I think there's 26 episodes.
There normally is.
Yeah, we need to check.
26.
26. Okay, so here we go. The episode I have chosen is 13. So in the middle of the middle.
13. Excellent. We're like, proper middle. So we have Crossfire, which is Odo's hidden feelings for Kira surface when visiting Bajoran's first minister, Shakar Edon, and he begins to court her.
Fantastic.
I kind of remember this episode, but I don't really remember this episode. I'm not really a humongous fan of Kira Odo.
Yeah.
It's fine. Odo and Luxwana Troy.
No,
that
is a relationship I can get behind.
Yeah, baby. But no, so I guess we'll. Though I remember Shakir. He's really good. If he's the first minister of Vedic. I think
he was great.
He's really good. So yeah. Thank you for listening to Warp Factor Unknown. I've been your host Dan, and I've been joined by my co-host Tom.
Hello, thank you for listening, everyone.
Fantastic. We've also been joined by our other co-host Madeline.
Thank you for having me again.
Fantastic. We look forward to seeing you again at some point.
I didn't insult any Floridians this time.
No, makes a change.
No. Join us next time for another deep dive into the Star Trek universe as we discuss the Star Trek Deep Space Nine episode Crossfire, Season 4, Episode 19. No, sorry, Episode 13. Until then, thank you for your continued support. If you would like to contact us, please email us at warpfactorunknown@outlook.com. And again, it's warpfactorunknown@outlook.com. And leave comments and share and all that kind of stuff around all the other social medias. The music used for this podcast is called Starfleet Command by Jeff Harvey.